Hello everybody and welcome back to the weekly VR news. As always, I am Mateo311 and this is your channel for everything VR related. So it looks like VR is finally popping off again with the Quest 3 out in the wild and everyone's first impressions going out. But at the same time, Sony and Valve want us to know they're still alive and kicking because Sony announced a bunch of new games and Valve is working on some software updates which feel like a bit of a tease. Additionally, this week has an absolutely fantastic game dropping and I'm giving away a Quest 3. Now there are of course links and timestamps if you want to skip ahead, but before we jump in, this video is brought to you by VR Rock. VR Rock makes prescription lens inserts for all of your favorite VR headsets, and now they have them for the PlayStation VR 2. So if you've been struggling to get your eyeglasses to fit inside the headset, or you're afraid you might scratch the lens, these can be a great option. They magnetically connect, so they're easy to put on and take right back off. And if you're interested, I have a 10% discount code down in the description and a link to their webpage. Okay, so let's start this video off like normal with the check-in, and that's what exactly have I been up to or currently working on. I'm gonna go through it quick because there's a bunch of things. I will have a full review of Dungeons of Eternity up this week. That's the game I mentioned in the intro. It's absolutely fantastic. You don't want to miss this one. Trust me, guys. Additionally, I'm considering doing a comparison video, a Quest 2 to Quest 3 comparison video. Let me know down in the comments if you guys are interested in that, if I should do it, or you just want me to wait for my full Quest 3 review. And then finally, I just want to let you guys know, for those who care, I am recovering from either my herniated disc or SI joint damage. They're not 100% sure what I broke this time. But anyway, I'm to the point where I can go to the gym a bit, I can walk as much as I want, and it's not slowing me down from reviewing VR games anymore. So that's a huge plus, win for me. I hope you guys care. Now later in this week, I'll also have a video on all the games that are releasing in October, and this is a pretty stacked month. Honestly, there's some great games dropping, including some scary ones just in time for Halloween. But let's move into this week's new releases, starting with The Rising Dead. It looks like we're once again jumping into VR's most popular genre, the zombie shooter. There is, however, a little bit of a twist here, as you'll be locked in a mall packed with the undead. Each attempt at surviving 3 days before you're rescued includes scavenging for food, rescuing survivors, and battling zombies with gameplay elements that are randomized with each run. So if you just can't get enough of VR zombie shooters, go check out The Rising Dead. Now the next game launching this week is Dungeons of Eternity, which I've already mentioned twice and won't spend much time on. It's an absolutely fantastic dungeon crawler for 1 to 3 players with some excellent physics-based combat. My full review will be up on the 5th, right before the game releases. And our final game releasing this week is a demo for the upcoming arena shooter Wisdom Watcher. Jump into a highly stylized steampunk world and battle hordes of creatures with a variety of unique weapons. There's different gameplay modes, destructible environments, and some excessively violent glory kills. The game's all about taking down as many enemies as possible without dying, and placing your score on the global leaderboard. If the action's solid, it sounds like this could be a nice distraction, but generally I like a little bit more depth in my games. But I guess we could all go try out the demo and find out for ourselves. Now before we get into the hardware news and mention what Valve, Sony, and Meta are currently up to, I want to mention the fact that I am giving away a Quest 3. There's a link down in the description, just click it, it's one of those Gleam links, I'm sure you guys know what to do. Click, 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 you're entered, it is global, and good luck. Alright, so let's start off with what Sony has been up to. Okay, so Sony gave us a little bit of a surprise VR day, which included multiple new trailers for games that have already been announced, a few ports making their way onto the PlayStation VR 2, and finally a brand new title. Starting with the latter, we have the multi-dimensional arcade cover shooter Heroes of Forever. This title is playable in a solo mode or with up to 4 people in co-op. You'll be blasting your way through a wide range of weird dimensions, and it honestly looks like a bit of a bullet hell. I'm really curious about this one and want to try it out, but I'm not sure a stationary shooter will really suck me in. Now if you do prefer some fast-paced movement, we got the release date for Tiger Blade. This is an adrenaline-filled action-adventure title set in an alternate version of Korea, and you'll take on the role of an assassin who has to slice and shoot their way through tons of enemies. Mechanically, this game looks absolutely fantastic as you're moving around with a grappling hook, deflecting melee attacks and bullets with your sword, and using an array of different tricks to help dispose of your enemies. I really hope the action is close to as good as it looks in this trailer. We also got a release date for the excellent looking roguelike shooter Foglands. Now, if you want more information on this game, it will be in my October releases video coming later this week. And I'm not spending much time on it here because it's not only a PlayStation VR 2 game. Now, when it comes to ports, we have Blinnk and the Vacuum of Space, which is self-described as an autism-friendly VR adventure title. You'll be tasked with going around and collecting space creatures with your handy vacuumizer in a fun, stress-free environment that's designed not to discourage the gamer. As someone with 2 autistic nephews, I really appreciate the fact that a title like this was made, and I completely understand how the challenge aspect of a game can be overwhelming to someone on the spectrum. Now we're also getting a port of the classic puzzle title Angry Birds VR, and if you happen to already own this game on the PlayStation VR 1, you can get the upgrade for only $10. There's also a demo of the puzzle title Tin Hearts arriving this month, and this game looks absolutely fantastic and reminds me a lot of the classic puzzle title Lemmings. Your tin men will just blindly march forward, and you'll have to find unique ways to get them across the world. And finally, Sony reminded us that Among Us VR is coming pretty soon. There's no official release date just yet, but you can go ahead and wishlist it right now. Now moving on to Valve, they've started to give us a bunch of little teases, and it's starting to feel like something's coming sooner rather than later. People thought that they might drop the news of the Deckard the same time the Quest 3 was announced, just like they did with the Valve Index and the Quest 1, but that didn't happen, and I was doubting that was going to happen. I said the Deckard is going to be a 2024 product. However, there is a full SteamVR UI update on the way. It's currently in beta, and they have a few more tricks up their sleeve. So if you want to check out the new UI, you'll have to opt into the beta, but with it, you'll notice plenty of new updates and added features. The vast majority of features found on the flat version of Steam, and also the Steam Deck's UI, can now be accessed in SteamVR. Additionally, this update is designed to not only look a lot better, but also be a lot more user-friendly. Over the next few months, Valve will be collecting data from this beta, and will make additional updates based on user feedback. Now, SteamVR was way overdue for some updates, but the question remains, why now? It's possible they just want to take a little bit of attention away from Meta, say, hey, we still are involved in VR, kind of reassure people, so not everyone runs out and gets the Quest 3. Maybe something else is coming a little bit sooner, that I was wrong on my 2024 estimation. But all I can say is I know they're working on stuff. We know they are working on a standalone headset. The question is just when. But let's move on to the big player in the VR industry, Meta. Now this week was Meta Connect, and unfortunately that's no longer really a gamer-centric event, and it tends to feel a bit gimmicky every single year. This year they showed us things like an AI Snoop Dogg, and honestly, I can give 2 craps about that. But we did obviously get all the information we wanted about the Quest 3, and there were also a bunch of hands-on first impressions that dropped this week, including my own. If you haven't seen it yet, I highly recommend it, and I will link it above. Now, I didn't show off the Ray-Ban Metas in my video because the embargo time kept changing, so I just cut it from my video entirely. Now, if you're not familiar with these, they're an update to the Ray-Ban Meta Stories, which are a pair of Ray-Ban sunglasses with 2 cameras and a bunch of speakers and microphones in them. Honestly, I had absolutely zero interest in this product until I tried it, and now I really want one. Additionally, Meta showed off some new things you can do with AR called augments, which is the ability to anchor virtual objects in your real world, which sounds cool and all, but honestly, I feel like it's just yet another gimmick. Now, I've said it before, and I'll say it again, I feel the current iteration of mixed reality is just a novelty and won't add any true value, but maybe my opinion will change later down the road when I actually own the Quest 3. Let me know what you guys think about mixed reality in general down in the comments right now. Now that was today's news. I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you did, go ahead and give it a thumbs up. If you're new here, consider subscribing. And as always, I'll see you guys on next time.